It's the 8th season, 8 tracks, 8 rounds, and 8 gears in the Formula One cars that race this season's V1 Malta Series. Welcome to the Velocity Esports channel, brought to you by Hyundai Intercom, Monster Energy, Brand Garage Level Academy, and The Specialist. My name is James Otter. The man that should be to my right, as I think we've got into the complete abyss, is Adam Reed, as we return to our home ground in this, the Formula One game franchise, Adam. So this should be a cracker. Question, though, straight to the point, though. Will Alexander Galail, what's Alexander Galail's chances of retaining his crown?
Hello, James. Good to be back on this broadcast. Alexander Galea, we know, is the reigning champion of the V1 Malta Series, and of course, he has any chance. But I think there's some fantastic drivers in this kind of lineup, in this entry list that I'm looking at on my right-hand side. I'm sure there will be plenty of action. We've seen it so many times, and this is the first time we've been to Zandvoort since season 5, when Adrian Manduca claimed his championship for Ferrari. So we'll be super interested to see how this all pans out in the opening round of Season 8 of the V1 Malta Series.
Yes, V1 Malta obviously bringing some exciting affairs. Last time out, I said Alexander Galea managing to take the championship, of course, alongside Daniel Sinny. Himself was the runner-up in this one, and the third place, Alexandra Borg, as a quick reminder, Andrea Borg, rather, sorry, was the third place player in this one. So, real mixed bag, F125. Obviously, been a few iterations of this game now. The handling model has recently received an update within the last month and a half. So, the game is going to be fairly new potentially to some people. So what are the challenges that we're going to be expecting for round number 1 at this, the first, not just visit to Zandvoort, but of course the first reverse track of the calendar?
It's definitely already an early kind of mix, interesting one into the mix, really, because we haven't ever raced a circuit in reverse unless these guys will be doing a lot of practice around Zandvoort reverse. It's a completely different kind of world, it seems like. You've got a completely different layout to try and navigate
of course, because I'm a lot of an old David Misford down in P14 of the Williams. Dave Potts making an appearance in Formula One. It's always a pleasure to see that name in the roster. Also a big fan as well of Andrea Borg and his performance here, because he could be certainly one to watch here tonight. Because I know that there's a lot of comfort and a lot of right word for it, but a lot of support maybe for this particular circuit. He is a fan of it, and no doubt the third place man from the championship last time out is doing quite well and leading the way so far. The lap times until Daniel Gaming beats him by just a bit over 2 tenths of a second, but still the pace is there.
Of course, I do want to talk about Daniel Kinney just a little bit, because it was season 6 that I covered with the one Jake Sperry. He was a real dark horse to be reckoned with. You know, he made his move into the season 5 and proved year after year, season after season. Season 6, he's got his that hot border championship battle, and then just kind of fell short due to his experience. But he finished second last season with the Ferrari. Could definitely finish as the championship winner. You know, having a look at our entry list, and there's only one champion in here, that being Alexander Galea. You know, there's no Jake Sammons, no Adrian Manduka, there's no Ryan Carabot. If you know how good Ryan Carabot is, then my goodness, I salute you on that part. But yeah, we have a huge, wide, open opportunity for a brand new champion this season, unless we do have Alexander Galea in that McLaren willing to absolutely decimate the field once again, sitting in third place. Because he's slowly building into it, I believe.
Fingers crossed we'll be able to get the sound level sorted out, as well as I think we're just appearing now into the frame for this particular stream. Thank you very much to every single one of you tuning in for this first round of the Season 8 of V1 Malta. We are in for a little bit of a blinder here tonight, I think, folks, because as I said, it's the one and only reverse track that we're going to be visiting in V1 Malta, but it is one that we're expecting of high attrition. Walls are particularly close around here, as you've got that long pit entrance before going in the backwards way into this. Is still a very, very weird sight to see going in reverse, and although I claimed for this to be a little bit of a gimmick when it was announced earlier on before the game was launched, of course, I was thinking, a bit of a gimmick this one, but actually it is very, very weird to see. We're on board at the moment with this man, David Potts. David Misford himself took part in the last championship. He took part in actually here at Velocity Esports. Was the one that's just completed the Asphalt Kings over on Gran Turismo 7. So a pleasure as always to see Misford trading his GT car for this Formula 1 car, as he's just chucking the car through the right-hander of turn number 12. Here's 13 and then 14. Getting a little bit of a tow from the car in front as well, but dives into the pit lane and calls quits on that particular lap. We've got here Andrea Borg, the third place man, second place overall in this particular qualifying so far, just on his outlap in the Alpine Renault.
Indeed, and Alpine has been pretty strong there. I've just noticed as well, Andrea Borg running with the Roscoe helmet. Not sure how many of you heard the news earlier today, but unfortunately we did lose with Roscoe Hamilton, unfortunately, late last night. So it's great to see Andrea Borg running with that tribute helmet, I believe, for tonight. Hopefully we will be able to see that maybe helmet on the podium, but it's nice to see kind of Roscoe being represented, even the virtual world, tonight.
Yeah, I'm with you on that 100% as well, and I'm sure Lewis has got a lot more important things than to watch a bunch of people wanting to be in his position doing it virtually. But of course we're all thinking of him and the rest of the team after the loss of Roscoe, because ever the presence within the community was Roscoe. Across the paddock, of course, they're very well liked dogs. So it's always a shame when you do lose a pet, and I'm sure plenty of people feeling that pain, hence the reason why they've all elected to wear, a good chunk of them have elected to wear the Roscoe inspired helmet, which is a lovely sight to see. Speaking of which, a lovely sight to see, an absolutely gorgeous livery as well, I must say, in that Alpine, and that lovely shade of blue and pink this year, as it heads his way now around these set of S's, which usually pose no challenge, but now will be more of a challenge, because of course going off camber into this late breaker around the outside of 12 into 13, 14 at the end, of course, is what would be turn number 1 in the regular direction. Turns the car in, and then this Alpine Renault will power his way all the way to the line. It'll be interesting to see what he sets initially. Comes across the line right now. It will be a 109.431. He's found a 10th and a bit and finds himself in second place. Jake Cozza's off of the circuit. Here's the McLaren of Lesue. He's looking to try and improve on his lap, a 105.6. Again, another man just going around turn number 12 at the moment. Here's 13, and then turn number 14 right at the end of this one. Again, the McLaren looking to try and set some early precedent if he can. The sole McLaren as well in this particular race. And Lesue, the champion from last season, going fastest so far with a 109.313. Delicious.
Lovely stuff there from Alexander Galea. Brilliant stuff as well. Seeing him at this moment in time putting that car into the top spot, especially where it belongs to Daniel Cini, goes even faster. That's almost 0.2 of a second faster than the McLaren driver. So I believe, of course, launching from where they left off last season, showing some really strong sign. And there is Simeon Nechev in the Kick Sauber that, of course, will transform into Audi come F1 26. But I think we can get one more season out of the V1 Malta Series heading into 2026. But I'm sure that'll be down to the guys back at HQ. Nechev trying to find a lap here. He's currently sitting in the top 10, but will we be able to put that car up a little bit higher than it currently is?
Hamza down at the back, really struggling to set a lap around here at the moment with a 117.635. We'll be hoping to find a little bit more pace than that one in the Red Bull. Here is Simeon Nechev, as you said, through turn number 12 into 13. Ria just wanting to step out, couldn't get the power down as early as he wanted, but Simeon will continue with this lap regardless, going through into turn 1, which is turn 14 now, and then there comes the start finishing line. DRS will be wide open, and here comes your line, and he rises himself up to 9th place overall, 110.936, but plenty of lap time still to find, and Mifsford showing exactly that as he gets a nice tow from the white Racing Bull in front of him. He goes P4 with a 109.588. Good lap from him indeed. Matthew Cassar on an outlap at the moment in the Mercedes. He's down in 6th place and the fastest of those in the 1 minute 10s with a 110.034. So he knows that he's got a 109 in under his belt. The question is can he get anywhere near at the moment what seems to be a little bit of a rinse and repeat of the V1 Malta Series last time out? The top 3 in this particular qualifier were the top 3 in the championship last time out.
They were, and it's been great to see how they've all been trying to evolve and up their game. But with 4 minutes left on the clock, really not a long time left to go. I think you're just trying to get your final laps in here. You see how how shiny some of the tyres are. They haven't quite got the kind of the first layer off the rubber before they then go on to that really quick lap. Meanwhile, we have the Aston Martin on a lap. This is Adam Qureshi heading in toward the middle sector, trying to really fly that car through. He's also got another Mercedes ahead of it, that being Ilwida or Kirsten Kurmi, who was another driver back at season 6 when I last covered the series. So yeah, still seeing some familiar faces throughout the V1 Malta Series, but hopefully we can get a really good season going. But let's see how Adam Qureshi can get through on towards his last sector here, James.
Yes, coming across now the turn number 12, 13 and then turn 14 right at the end of this one right here. He'll take the long sweeping left-hander, get on the power as early as you possibly can, but there's no curb on that outside, bearing in mind that grass could spin people out very quickly. He does manage to rise up to P13 with a 111.550, so still plenty of time yet to find, but puts himself at least into the top 13. Outlaps from Andrea Borg, but his teammates also just leaving the pit lanes as well. But Andrea Borg is going to be the first person of those in the troublesome 3, if you will, to set the first lap here. Will he be able to find more time? He goes for the wider entry so he can get on the power as early as he possibly can. But remember, that lack of a curb on the outside could pose a bit of a threat. Here he goes and starts his lap. People leaving the pit lane, not going to block him. That is mighty close stuff from the Williams. I don't think he got blocked, but they got to be more careful than that.
Indeed, that was a very close margin moment there as Andrea Borch trying to head into that first kind of Hans Ernest chicane there. it's been a really tough first sector and already
Abandoned.
6 tenths down and abandoning that lap. Yellow in the middle sector at I should say the first sector, it seemed like as well. I think that's maybe a car in the pit lane, but Matthew Cassar will get a lap time going.
I'm not surprised he's abandoned. I think he's abandoned because he may perhaps had to lift off as a result of the Williams and not really sure what the Williams was going to do. So maybe a little bit of a stewing inquiry about that one. I'd certainly be handling that one if I were driving. Anyway, chucking the car through the left-hander is Matthew Cassar. Not finding any comfort on the power there, and he's lost a bit of time, and you can tell not finding any comfort out there at the moment with that 1:10.0, but he's definitely going to have a 1:09 in him, I think, is Cassar, as he's just chucking the car through this left-hander now. Or again, usually these corners are a lot faster than what they are in this particular one. Careful again, no curb on that outside line could pose a problem. But this is the fast bit of the circuit now. You want to keep the power and your foot planted to the floor through the right-hander, up the hill, through the left-hander, and then you'll see at the bottom of the hill, this little corner right here where it gets a little bit more intense indeed. Cassar will be hoping that he's got all the pace in the world here as Panzer's been disqualified. He's parked in a dangerous location, so he will be taking no further part in this qualifier, and he will certainly be starting at the back of the grid. Here is David Mifsford himself, Dave Potts 09, looking to try and set a lap himself as well, bearing in mind that he could actually be one to watch in this particular race, as he is actually in close proximity of the troublesome three.
He is as well, and we'll have to see what David Mifsud can do as he heads in towards this next right-hander, just trying to use some of the banking. But it's interesting to see how the line is used through there, because of course you're not trying to launch yourself over a hill. You're trying to basically get a line in towards the next left-hander, and it looks like Popsy will go over the line here. Will he go any higher? No, it's only P4. Still in second row of the grid for Daniel Chinny. Is absolutely chasing time as Alex Galea tries to see if he can work something out, but no, he's going to abandon this lap as well. Super unfortunate for the reigning champion, but of course, yeah, that's the way the cookie's going to crumble. Now we'll see if Daniel Chinny can work his way into a further pole position spot. He's gone purple in that first sector, and he's now going to work his way on towards a 1:08.9, hopefully, trying to head his way through Skyflak and on towards the uphill section, and he'll dive all the way down. Purple second sector is unbelievable so far. Chinny on an absolute flyer, but that lockup may have just cost him. James?
No, absolutely fine in my opinion. He's absolutely flying. I think Mifsford actually was on his way to potentially getting pole here, but that really, really poor final corner saw him only manage to get onto the bottom part of the second row. Meanwhile, this man, Daniel Chinny, showing absolute flex. 1:09.030. It wasn't the 8 you were looking for. Maybe that lockup just cost him a breach of the 1:08, but it's not going to matter to him. He's on pole position for the first race of this V1 Malta Championship in Season 8. Andrea Borg, the third place man in the championship last time out, is second. And, well, I'll tell you what, Alexander Galea will be absolutely livid with that performance of a 1:09.3. He's got more pace in him than that, but he's 2 tenths down from the pole sitter going into this main race. It is pole in the end for the Ferrari, Daniel Chinny.
Indeed it is, and from what I can tell, I'll save it probably for the race, but Daniel Chinny will line up in pole position ahead of Andrea Borg with Alexander Galea alongside Mifsud. Then comes Jake Cos ahead of Matthew Cassar, and then it'll be the Williams there of Michael Mulligan and Emerson Zab. It'll be Ilwida ahead of Mitsimo Nechev with Chris, and then Ronskins, Holdchef, Koroshi, Rocket, and Panzer. We'll get to the actual names maybe into the second round of the championship, but this is kind of the first time we're seeing the majority, so apologies if we're completely butchering names in these early stages of the championship. But James,
Welcome back to Velocity Esports on the V1 Malta Series. We should be in for an absolute cracker of a race. It's raining here in Zandvoort, and that, with the reverse circuit, means it should start to get perhaps a little bit spicy. Myself, James Arthur, alongside Alex for this one here. So, look, this is a bit of a bold one here, isn't it? We're now in a position where it's going to start to get pretty spicy very quickly before we get going. What is the expectations of this one? Oh, in fact, we'll get those thoughts in just a few short moments because the lights are counted down for the rains here in Zandvoort. And in reverse, no more waiting. Let's go racing here in the Netherlands. So, Daniel Gaming gets a great start here. Daniel Chinny looking to just try and defend, but immediately out the blocks, the champion, Alexander Galea, looking to get in the mix as we've got more people scraping against the walls, including the champion himself as well, into the grass, and the safety car out straight away as a result. I tell you what, we knew there'd be high attrition. We knew that people being caught out. The rain has caught people out immediately, including the championship winner of last season out. Alex, nice to have you alongside us for this one. I tell you what, that was a little bit of a shocker. Safety car straight away.
Well, we can finally indulge in some of our thoughts, but James, I thought there was going to be a very, very intriguing race, and already we're kind of seeing that with the early chaos that was ensued. It will be interesting as Daniel Chinny starts to go a little bit wide there, but yeah, it's kind of Alex Galea that kind of got the worst of all of that, down 10 places, but up 3 there for Matthew Kassar and the Williams of course, Michael McMullen. So really interesting to see how they're going to turn out, but for now, we're just going to have to give us a little bit of a rest under a safety car. Of course, the drivers can do a full race distance because the race has been declared wet. So if they can nurse these intermediates all the way to the finish, so be it. Go for it. But I think it will be best to make a pit stop around about the mid stage of this race. What do you think, James?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, I do know Adam, not Alex, because apparently it's not just the people's names I'm getting mixed up on circuit, it's also everyone in this lobby. Apologies, Adam. Yes, it is going to be one that people are going to keep an eye out on here because the tyres now, and people making pit stops after what has been a particularly weird set of affairs here. I think there will be another set of intermediate tyres on these cars, but probably a fresh set of front wings for everyone here. £250,000 of pop, Adam. So everyone with fresh front wings, including the likes of David Mifsford, Simeon Neshev, Jake Koz also got affected by that one. But despite the fact that he was in the wall and into the gravel chap, the championship winner of last time out as well, that's Alexander Galea Lesiu, has elected not to pit. So has he got away without damage, actually? Maybe a few collisions have occurred which hit him up the backside, and that ended up resulting in a bit of a half spin out. So the man looking to try and, get a decent run in the start of this championship in what is only an 8-round championship is now down in P9. So he's got to start making some serious inroads at a circuit that's not known for its overtaking in the wrong direction in the wet.
Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of a math equation, it seems like, when you put it like that, but it should be simpler. And of course, everyone has made a pit stop. Apart from those bottom 4, I think they're still circulating out there for now. We'll have to see how it all kind of works out at this moment in time. This will give them a bit of a rest, but I think that they're just waiting to get under a bit of grit, under racing. I think one thing that's interesting me is the elevation mixing up with the rain, because of course when you're on a wet track, of course you can get those puddles and just pieces of standing water, and not just that, but water flowing across the circuit. Like, imagine what the forward version of turn 3 will look like. An absolute river that you will see coming across the track. So I think a lot of our drivers are going to be making sure they're not getting caught up because of that. So interesting to see how this is all going to work out for now. But yeah, just having a look there at the standings for now, David Mifsud is going to be a massively interesting person at the moment, because of course he's one of 4 drivers that have pitted, and he should now be able to potentially go to the end. It depends on what the rest of the drivers do and the kind of the tyre life, the durability of the intermediates. How will they handle throughout about 33 of these laps around Zandvoort?
I have seen heroic drives around this circuit on this game where people have elected to do a no-stop on a set of intermediate tyres, and they have gone the distance, but they've needed to commit to some serious tyre-saving actions. So don't expect people to be uber quick if they elect to do the no-stop, and effectively those who have pitted are going to basically be on a no-stop as well, because of course those tyres are still going to be aged pretty horrendously if they elect not to pit. So safety car is in at the end of this lap, and we'll continue on what will be another tour, another 32 tours of this circuit without interruption, we would expect. So currently, as it stands so far, your top 5. Daniel Shinnie, the runner-up of last time out, is first alongside the Alpine, third place overall in the last season now in Andrea Borg. Matthew Cassar is third alongside Michael Mifsud-McMullen in fourth, and then you've got the fifth place man of Emerson Zarb in the Racing Bulls. So when will Daniel Shinnie decide to set off? Well, he is certainly taking his time, not so willing to go. In fact, he has actually gone a little bit earlier than perhaps I think a lot of people anticipated. Here he comes around the final corner and approaching now the start-finishing line as we go green again here in Zandvoort. So the Ferrari getting a really good start here, actually, as everyone gets into a bit of a rolling start procedure. Hopefully we'll get all of our graphics back on the left. There we go. And the expectation here is Andrea Borg is going to have to now try and find a little bit more time that he lost on that race start, a little bit more on the conservative approach, caught napping a bit.
He is indeed. He's really looking to see if he can potentially just close that gap, or maybe even maintain it here. We just look further back to some of the drivers like Alexander Galea, who's trying to just find that grip any way he possibly can. Once the driver finds the grip, they're going to be absolutely flying, and they're going to hope that maybe the other drivers don't find it as quick. He's now just sitting right behind the Racing Bulls of Efron Tabor as he now looks in towards this middle sector. He's looking for a place to pass, but this is the thing with Zandvoort. Where do you pass? It can't be into the master corner, because that's going to end in pretty much disaster. But he'll head on towards Skyflag, and that looks like Daniel Chinny's out. Daniel Chinny out of the race. Safety car, he's lost it on the outside.
P10.
Oh no.
Oh no. Yeah, keep going down, because we can see on the outside there, you can see, if we stay on board with Chris Kirk, you'll see on the outside line, the Ferrari looks like he had a bit of a tank slapper and he's put it straight into the wall. So that is the conclusion of the man second place in the championship, and now the man third place in the championship last time out in season 7, now leading this race from Matthew Cassar. And then you've got a third place position here for Michael Mifsud-McMullen in third place, which is a great achievement, and a great achievement as well for Mercedes with Matthew Cassar in second. They've got his teammate in Kirsten Kumi in P5 as well. So actually, opportunity knocks now for Mercedes, and also for Racing Bulls for that matter, actually, as well. As I said, you've got that great performance coming in from Emerson Czar, but his teammate as well in Efron Tabom is also in a decent position as well in P6. So a race for the midfielders is what it's looking like to be at the moment. Lap 5 of 36. We've lost one of the big three. The other one is down in P7 after a spin out on the first corner. And so far, so good for the man third place in the championship. Last time out in Andrea Borg. He leads the race on lap 5 of 36, 31 to go, and we're back to the height behind the safety car for the second time in this race.
I just wonder if you're maybe one of these top 10 drivers do come into the pits, because that's exactly what Potsi, Jake Collins, and Simeon Nechev and Chris has done. Looks like Panzer is also, actually no, he stayed out, so he's probably one of the more less faster drivers in the championship. So we'll line up back behind the safety car, and I just wonder if it's anyone's maybe option to pit, because you're doing less than 30 laps on a set of intermediate tyres, which they can do. You've just got to be wary of their durability, because you know it can be a bit of a disaster if you do try that 30 laps, and then they maybe go up maybe about 3% a lap, because then you're looking at about almost 90% by the time you get to the end if you're going about 3% a lap. You've definitely got to be aware, and I don't think it's the right time, to be honest. I think we will see more carnage. We'll definitely see more drivers potentially throwing it off the road by accident, and end up with another safety car, which will give the perfect prime opportunity to make it into the pits you kind of want to be, pitting as late as possible. at the later stage where you kind of get this opportunity to get past everyone, where everyone's still bunched up. So it's going to be a roll of the dice. It's going to be a bit of luck, but I'm sure our drivers will go bring us superb action here around Zandvoort, no doubt.
4 positions gained for 3rd, 4th and 5th place in this one, but 7 gained for the Epron-Tabone in the other Racing Bull. So he's having a cracking race as well. So really good opportunities across the field. But it's all going to be about who is going to be able to survive this one at the moment, because we've done more safety car laps than we have done real racing laps at the moment here in Zandvoort on 6 of 36. We're 6th of the way through this race, so surely should expect the safety car to be coming in at the end of this lap, if not at least the next one. And in that situation, the anticipation now is the drivers are going to get themselves ready and raring to go, because they are going to be in for another one of those classy restarts. Now, Andrea Borg was caught napping by the man who's now out of this race in Daniel Shinnie. So is he going to follow in his footsteps to try and catch Matthew Cassar off guard by going a little bit earlier, or is he going to go as late as he possibly can? Remember, no overtaking at all until you cross the start-finishing line in Formula 1. So none of that, oh, it's got to be the safety car line. No, it's the start-finishing line. That's where you're allowed to start overtaking. Here he comes then at the 100-metre board. He is leaving it a little bit later, but just a little bit later, but he's not caught the Mercedes napping at all. If anything, the Mercedes, Matthew, has absolutely kept within touching distance. We go green again here in Zandvoort, then leading away from Matthew Cassar, who's actually getting a nice little tow going through into turn number 1, but on this occasion, no overtakes here. We've also got an overtake happening from the winner of the championship last time out, Alexander Galea, trying to get as close as he possibly can to this move against the Racing Bull of Epron-Tabone in P6. So he's got some serious ground to make up. He is getting closer, but once again, just stuck around the back ends of other drivers because he can't get any moves done at a circuit like this.
Exactly, this is what I'm talking about, but he's going to find that inside line at the inside of the White Racing Bulls car, and he'll drift his way, in fact, in towards 6th place. So already making position so far from his earlier misdemeanors, and at this moment in time, he just sits in that 6th place for now, but still plenty to gain, still plenty to lap. Ignore the safety car graphic there on the left-hand side. Don't worry, we haven't had another car go off. We are just now waiting for that to kind of clear after about a lap or two. And we'll now ride on board here with Michael McMullen as he now enters that top 3, the fabled podium positions here. And he works his way through these last couple of corners and on towards the final corner at Tarzan. That's a very weird sentence to say, but he's just trying to keep on tabs here with Matthew Cassar, but Cassar is trying to chase down Andrea Borg. Borg is going to go and set the fastest lap, and I just wonder if it's potentially even starting to dry, but those little tippy-tappy piece of spray here are just starting to get a little bit less potentially, and we now see that being Kirsten Kurmi right ahead of Galea. Will he have the pace to match the McLaren? But it doesn't look like he's starting a little bit wider there, and the racing lines are looking a little bit off there from Mercedes.
Yeah, and it might be a duplicate of the overtake. No, it'll go around the outside, then potentially to Mercedes, squeezing him to the outside. Is he going to continue to squeeze him in the McLaren? Certainly will do, to look for the defensive manoeuvre here, but he'll have the inside of the next corner here, will the McLaren, and he'll look to continue to put the pressure on the Mercedes and get the power down as early as you possibly can as you chuck the car through this left-hander, and the move is done and dusted. Alexandra Galea now up to P5 as he loses the rear ever so slightly and now tries to chase down with a 3-second gap to the other Racing Bull driver of Emerson Zarb, who's in P4. While this is happening, Dave Misford, Dave Potts, is getting quicker. Oh, he's getting up on the grass. He's got to be careful because you can really spin your car out quickly. That's a late breaker in the race, in the Red Bull. Jake Cos gets hold Zeff himself again. Epron-Tabone is starting to lose positions hand over fist. One hell of a dive bomb from Jake Cos. He wants to get some inroads in.
He does indeed, and Matthew Cassar going over there for the fastest lap of the race. So is this maybe a change in the times here at this moment in time at the front of the field? So Andrea Borg just continuing out in front, but he will just try and continue at this little pace that he has, and that Mercedes really working away and opening up at anything he possibly can. And I think McMullen is also trying to just continue on here. We now ride on board here with Jake Cos. because this midfield battle is looking oh so exciting in this little gaggle of cards. This is deciding some pretty low down points. You know, you're looking at 8th, then 6th, then 4th, then 2nd and 1st. That's kind of rounds of the top 10, but they could be important championship points at the end of the season. You know, every single point counts in Formula One, and that's really going to prove crucial, especially when we've got equal cars. That is going to be one to really take into consideration. And did we just have a car off? We did. That is going to be that's going to be Efron to Bone.
Yes, Efron to Bone has gone a little bit wide and he's found himself losing positions again, hand over fist. He's up 2 positions from where he qualified, but I don't know, ever since that dive from the Red Bull of Jake Cos, I think he's just lost his mojo a little bit, lost his rhythm, as we've got a new fastest lap, and it's from guess who? Alexandre Galea. He's absolutely flying at the moment in the McLaren. Gap now 1.4 to the other Racing Bull of Emerson Zarb. Dave Potts, by the way, Dave Misford is getting closer ever so slightly to the back of the McLaren. The question is, however, is how much time is this McLaren going to lose on the back of the Racing Bull to allow David Misford to potentially welcome himself in this particular battle? The gap is only 2 seconds, and at a wet circuit like this in reverse where people are not particularly familiar, well, I'd say actually 2 seconds is not that much of a margin.
No, I think you're just looking at trying to really work the car and see if you can find those positions and the gaps. Try and close that gap, you know, try different lines as the purple sector there emerges for Matthew Cassar. And I think that this is Matthew Cassar that has kind of matured over the last couple of seasons. He has really worked on his craft and really worked away at trying to, you know, be as impressive as he can and work towards potentially being a champion in this V1 Malta Series. You know, you never really would say that Cassar was maybe a title challenger maybe a couple of seasons ago, but he really worked in himself, really improved, and the experience has really come along. Now let's have a look at the Ferrari. Samuel Boursch is at this moment in time running down there in 10th, but let's have a look at Alexandre Galea, because he set the fastest lap and he's right behind Emerson Zarb.
He's actually found a second, has Alexandre Galea against Dave Misford, and as a result he's getting closer and closer to this move now against the Racing Bull of Emerson Zarb. But ideally for the Williams, he doesn't get any moves done, and to be fair, it looks like Zarb is actually defending the corner, going through that corner of what is turn 10 is now turn 5. Keep an eye out then on where this Racing Bull plants it, because it looks to me as if this Racing Bull RBPT Honda is absolutely holding the line and making it the widest possible car on the planet, and that's only welcoming Dave Misford into this battle. Gap was 2.9, it's now 1.7. With every passing corner, this McLaren is losing time, hand over fist to the Williams, and we know Dave Misford is quick around here. We've seen it in qualifying. He may need to go for the lane breaker, and that was a rear lockup, and I tell you, that is brave from the championship winner last time out. They're still side by side going through turn 13 into turn number 14. He'll have the inside, Will Zarb, and Zarb will very happily be able to defend it. They bang wheels, and he's still in front of the championship winner last time out. Fabulous racing between these two, but he'll try and get closer and closer. Will the McLaren go for it, going through into 1? He will not. He will hold station. Dave Misford is getting closer. Gap is now only 1 second, and guess who he's carrying behind him as well? Would you believe it's the Mercedes of Kirsten Kumi as well in this battle, so it could potentially start to open up a little bit here. Oh, he's gone wide as Zork though. Will he be able to hold on? He will certainly, losing the rear ever so slightly. Alexandre Galea, look behind. Dave Misford's getting closer, and that is potentially now no longer going to be a battle about looking forward. I think Galea is going to start looking behind now.
He will do, and we'll have to see if that's a possibility for some of these drivers to maybe get involved into a 4-car battle, because look at this. That's going to be David Misford and Jake Cos trying to build on this battle and see if they can maybe nick a place or two. That was a bit of a slide there from Emerson Zarb as the rain continues to pour down here in the dunes of Zandvoort. Will he look for that inside line once again? No, tries better of it. He tucks himself into get in that inside line. That's the best way, it seems like, around this way of Zandvoort, rather than the whole banking they use on the forward layout and in towards Thailand. There's a little bit of banking you can use on that outside line, which some drivers may try and use, but it doesn't look like that Alexander Galea is going to use this one this time around. Now in towards the final corner there is usually, but this has gone into turn 1. Is he going to try and attempt to move in towards 2? There might be a gap in the offering, but doesn't decide to take it. That could have been oh so risky.
He's looking for it, and the gaps are opening. It does seem to go for the later apex. Here's the Red Bull. Look at Jake Cos getting into the mix. You think he caught Dave Misford napping a little bit, but Dave Misford happy to hold on to that position. We've got sector 2 yellow flags wave for a spinning car. That's cleared up pretty quickly, though. Though in the end, Jake Cos is welcoming himself into this battle as well, and that is something that he's going to have to keep an eye out on. He will have the inside line with Dave Misford. I don't think there'll be a move on this occasion, but that Red Bull is looking ultra racy at the moment. Now, I don't anticipate that's because of any kind of tyre delta. I think this is just pure pace. Jake Cos has definitely got a lot of pace out there. We've got a spinning car as well. It's the Mercedes. Oh, would you believe it? It's the Mercedes of Kirsten Kumi who was also getting in the battle. He's now down to P13 as a result of that spin. Back to that battle up in P4, 5, 6 and 7 though. You've got to keep an eye out unless you, the championship winner last time out, is putting everything on the table to commit to some kind of overtake. I thought he was lining up into T1 last time out, but he's getting closer, and I do anticipate surely there's going to be a little bit of pressure in 1, knowing that Jake Cos is looking so quick. He's a lot closer on this occasion. Let's use some overtake. Will the McLaren Mercedes around the outside of T1? He'll have to go. Will he look for it? Sector 3 yellow flags wave. Don't worry about it. Around the outside on the hairpin is absolutely fabulous from the McLaren off camber on that angle of degree. He goes around the outside in the wet in the wrong way. That is fabulous.
That is beautiful stuff there from Alexander Galea, and now he's going to try and push on, but remember, he has a 5-second gap to cut down here, and that is going to be so tough, because then he's got another 5-second gap to try and cut down. So this race win is still on for Alexander Galea, but it's going to require a lot of luck and a lot of pace, especially in conditions like this. He's going to have to kind of turn into a little guy called Franz Hermann. You might know him, the alter ego, I think, of Max Verstappen. But you know how much of a Rainmaster Max is. You're going to have to maybe unleash a bit of Mad Max energy on this one. Let's have a look further back here, riding on board with the Red Bull Efron to Bone, as he now launches his way up the top of the hill through Sky Flak and on toward this sweeping section. So difficult to try and keep the car in control, especially with the rear wagging around like a dog's tail. And we'll see that Alexander Galea is looking pretty quick here, because he's going to set the fastest lap, put almost 2 seconds on Emerson Zarb. So strong pace from the McLaren. I want to kind of question this, James. Is this like maybe a sign that Galea is quicker in the races compared to his qualifying?
Maybe. I think he was a little bit unfortunate in qualifying, to be honest with you, but in terms of the actual race pace, he was a bit unfortunate going through turn 1. Looks like someone had hit him up the rear, which saw him lose all those positions. He's got the pace. Now he's got clear air. He's found 0.4 of a second just in the first sector alone against the driver in the Williams of Michael Misford McMullen. So he is clearly gaining. Look at that. He's found a second in 2 sectors. He's absolutely flying in that McLaren at the moment. And Andrea Borg and Matthew Cassar are both going to be thinking about this alongside the Williams of Michael Misford McMullen, because look, he is quick out there, but the overtaking is not very easy. He had to commit to a move around the outside on the banking of turn 1 to try and get the move done on the Racing Bull of Emerson Zarb. What a fabulous move that was. We do have an Aston Martin though in the pit lane, so he's just now joining. It's Koshecki actually. He's just joining into the pit lane, and now a lap down is Adam Koshecki. Going through then into turn number 1 once again, and Lesue, the championship winner last time out and the defending champion Alexander Galea, is looking so sharp. In just 1 lap, he's found nearly 2 seconds on Michael Misford McMullen.
He is, and I think he's just got to try and continue at this pace. Whatever he's doing to try and shut the gap down, it's proving to be successful. But you look at the gap now to Matthew Cassar to McMullen, that's 7.5 seconds, 7.7 now. And it really just is showing that that's going to be a whole different kettle of fish once he reaches past McMullen. He's got to try and not get held back down, whatever means possible, when trying to overtake the Williams. Speaking of Williams, here is David Nifsud. We've got a yellow because there is Qureshi. I think he's just spun there out of Hans Ernest Bosch, or Hans Ernest corner, or chicane, whatever you kind of want to call it, yeah?
I just want to make a point. I'm sorry to interrupt on this one. It's not raining. It's absolutely bone dry on circuit as well. So I think there's probably going to be a chance of dry tyres imminently here, you know, Adam. And if that ends up happening, people are now going to start burning through these intermediates as quickly as they possibly can. And this is going to be smiling ear to ear for Alexander Galea because he's looking so quick in the wet. What's he going to be like in the dry? I wonder. Here we're currently following Aaron Dimesh at the moment. This is Ron Skins, if you will. He's now going to be surely diving into the pit lane. Someone's going to be diving into the pit lane. Simeon Neshev certainly diving into the pit lane after that one. That was one hell of a tank slapper and well held, but surely a set of dry tyres imminently if Mr. Director switches over, and he's thinking exactly the same as me at the moment. Kosheki elected to move on to the hards and spun, but Simeon Neshev is in the fact he thinks now it's time for dries.
We'll have to see what the Sauber mechanics decide, and it does seem to be, is that a set of hard compound tyres? It is. The white stripe going onto the Sauber car as he exits that pit lane, but he almost binned it into the barrier, my word. Trying to get those hard tyres up to temperature are proving to be a difficult task already for Simeon Neshev. And into the barrier, there goes Qureshi again. That's on the entry in towards, that's exit of the final corner, and here comes Andrea Borsch, and he's going to have to allow that car through, and this is now going to start to be a little bit iffy here. I wonder if the driver is kind of more invisible, Ray, so maybe the game, well, the scenery that we're seeing is, there's nothing on track here, but it could be that these guys see a little bit of rain here in toward the left-hander of turn number 1, and there is Michael Mullard, and that is Greg Alex Galea chasing him down, and the pace difference looks absolutely mighty.
Yeah, purple lap, from Alexandra Galea, which firmly indicates the track is starting now to get faster and faster, even on 17-lap-old intermediate tyres, which surely should be the indicator that people are going to be switching over. I'm surprised people are electing to go to the hards. I would elect the medium purely because you need to have that kind of deficit when it comes to the warmness, as we see here. Lesu making the overtake on Michael Mifsud McMullen side by side, very well taken from the McLaren. You know, surely the indication here is to move on to a medium tyre. That's exactly what Eprom Tabome has done. He's on the medium tyre. We've got other people potentially diving into the pit lanes. Oh, look at this Red Bull here around the outside. Ooh. Oh my goodness me, Director, where is that Red Bull? Because he surely should have been on the grass there. I'm not sure where he is, but looks like they're still side by side at the moment. The Red Bull and the Racing Bull here, but apparently we're not going to watch that one. We're going to watch Matthew Cassar in the pit lane, leaving for a set of hard tyres, I wonder. Lesu is getting closer and closer, but he still believes it's firmly an intermediate tyre at the moment.
Yeah, Matthew Cassar taking a massive risk here, and I think we will have to have a look at him in a minute just to see the kind of control of that Mercedes. So if we could have a look at Matthew Cassar on the exit of the pits, does he manage to get those tyres into a good place? That is going to be Adam Qureshi retiring from this Dutch Grand Prix, and it does seem like it's a bit of a struggle here for the moment. But let's just stay with Cassar here, because he's trying to get here on the back of Jake Todd. This will be a great idea of the tyre differential between the intermediates and the hard compound. He's really have to try to get the car turned in if he really wants to get any bite out of the tyres. So it's requiring a little bit of oversteering or opposite lock there. There is Simeon Neshev, who's on that hard compound tyre. I wonder if it's just kind of like ice at the moment. So I think it may be the Inters are the right choice to go, unless Matthew Cassar is showing the pace to overtake Jake Todd. But it just seems very equal at the moment, and more sliding at the rear. I think what Emerson Zarb and the Racing Bulls have done is they've gone into the medium just to get more temperature. This is...
No, I'm sorry. No, it looked like he approached the pit lane very, very gingerly. did the McLaren of Lesu, because I think he was just trying to avoid being, cutting into the pit lane by speeding. But I'll give you credit here on this one here, because I was thinking exactly the same thing here, Adam. I think the track conditions, they're not damp, I just think it's cold. And as a result, the intermediate tyre is the better tyre to be on, because, of course, the warm-up on the intermediate tyre is a lot lower. You only need about sort of 60-ish degrees, as opposed to 90 to 100 with the dry tyres. So maybe the intermediate tyre is still just about the right tyre to be on, purely on temperature difference, because the tyre delta is just not quite there on the dry tyre at the moment. Matthew Cassar has managed to get the jump, though, on Alexander Galea. So he's happy in P3 with a gap of around about 15 seconds, but that surely should come down. In fact, it won't come down. That is a legitimate gap of about 15 seconds. Andrea Borg is now just entering the pit lane in the Alpine. He will be off of the intermediate tyre, and I would expect surely a medium tyre going on the Alpine Renault. We'll see as he into the pit lane, as we've also got, he's double stacked by his teammate, who is a lap behind, and that is so critical for the driver looking to win this race. There goes Michael Mr. McMullen. Here comes Matthew Cassar, who gets out in front of Andrea Borg. Now, Andrea Borg is going to be absolutely fuming that he's been caught out by his teammate, who was just doing his own business, but he's a lap down, and he's cost his teammate time.
Yeah, I spotted that. I'm thinking that's a car in the box, and I'm very happy that I've kind of spotted that. But it does seem like everyone is going to be on those dry compound tires. The tire durability is a lot lower compared to previous games here. I think F124 and F125 are very, very similar. That is Simeon Nechev again going round on those hard compound tires, and I think this is kind of a telling sign that these hard tires are not working. I was about to talk about the durability that these hard tires are at, and yes, McMullen has got past Alexander Galea, so it might actually just be that these medium tires are the way to go. But are they going to get to the end? Because 16 laps is very much pushing it on these tires.
I don't know, Matthew Cassar seems pretty happy on the hard tyre at the moment. He leads this race, of course, from Andrea Borg, who unfortunately getting stuck by his teammate a lap down. There will be conversations happening at Alpine as Simeon Nechev gets off of his hard tyres, no doubt looking for a new front wing as well, unless he's retiring. Down the inside then, Lesu will have to go. There's the retirement from Simeon Nechev, and we've got Alexander Galea going around the outside once again, but I think hopefully it's going to be done a lot sooner. Or is it going to be another one around the outside at turn number 1? Not on this occasion. The Williams has got that one covered happily. Going through turn 2, or has he? Going around the outside. Fabulous stuff from the champion last time out, and the defending champion. Doesn't matter, inside, outside, or straight down the middle, he'll have overtakes left, right and centre. He's on the podium.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant stuff there from Alexander Galea. You just saw how much Michael McMullen was struggling to get out of the corner, trying to just get the power down, and he just couldn't. The tail was wagging away like Roscoe's tail when he sees the bone in the paddock, heading their way on towards the hilly section as well, towards towards his left-hander. And it's been absolutely fantastic to watch this race. It's been a slow burner, but I promise you, we are going to be in for an absolute brilliant finale. It's just down to Matthew Cassar, I think, because those tyres are actually doing well on that Mercedes, and he's setting purple lap times. The hard tyres are actually being able to go the distance, and they're working. Andrea Borg will now take back that fast lap, but in the modern kind of points, this doesn't mean anything. It just means that they're fast. It does look like it's just down to drivers at the minute that are making the time difference.
Jake Coulthard's just got the fastest lap, and he's on the hard tyre as well. Here comes the Mercedes of Ilvida around the inside, and it will be a bang of wheels against the Aston Martin. And a great move, though, nonetheless, from Kirsten Kumi, who gets the move on the Aston Martin there of, I think that was Christian. Is that Christian Kumi by any chance, actually? So clearly the two drivers doing the best that they can in that scenario, but the Mercedes happily taking the position out of the hands of the Aston Martin to go P8. Here is the move for the P6 as it stands so far. The man with the fastest lap in this Jake Cos, who's looking fairly sharp. He's only one of 2 drivers at the moment who's looking pretty good on the hard tyre, though to be fair, actually, Kristen Kumi's looking decent as well on the hard tyre. So clearly the hard tyres have now just about switched on, but the medium tyres are really now starting to come into their own, as Andrea Borg has already now closed down the gap on Matthew Cassar as he gets another fastest lap with a 15.859. The gap now around about 7 seconds. Lesu going even faster as well. Alexandra Galea looking so sharp. Gap now 5.8 to Borg and around about 11 seconds to Cassar.
So into this kind of latter stage here, we're starting to approach those last couple of laps where the deciding factors can very much be made up here. We'll keep on tabs here with Christian Kurmi because he's currently defending from correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, that rear was very not happy through that corner. Almost went round. I was about to say, correct me if I'm wrong, Team Velocity, but I believe they may be brothers, or could that be a... they're definitely related. I think we had a situation back in season 6 where 2 drivers had the same surname but they had no relation to each other, which was a very strange situation. And right on the back of this battle is Samuel Borg as well. So it does seem like that Ferrari is really working on the back of this little tussle. But the 2 Williams are absolutely having a field day. But with McMullen having a little bit of struggles, I think it looks like Samuel Mifsud might try and go past, switching his BMW for a Williams Formula 1 car, and he's going to try and maybe overtake his teammate. Will it be in towards the first corner? I'm not too sure, and they're going to have to be quite careful here because Jake Cos is right on the rear of those 2 as well.
And I'm just keeping an eye out on that Williams as well of David Misford. He wants to get that move done against his teammate ASAP because Jake Cos is very prone to just going for the dive, as he very happily will lick the stamp and send it, will this Red Bull racing car. So if Dave Misford and McMullen are actually in communication with each other, surely this move is going to be switched pretty quickly. And then you can see, look how much later on the brakes the Red Bull is. He is very, very raring to go to get this move done and dusted, and Dave Misford knows that he has to get this move done as quickly as he possibly can against Michael Misford McMullen. They come getting closer and closer, but once again they will hold station as they go around the second sector. There should be no overtakes around this particular part of the circuit, but there could be one at this hairpin of turn number 12, what was originally turn number 3. You'll see then going into here, will there be any moves done? No, not on this occasion. Turn 13 is what happens next, which is turn 2, and then turn 1, turn 14 is where they're at, as Andrea Borg is getting faster and faster at the moment on these medium tyres. Gap to the Matthew Cassar is now about 4.8 seconds as we're going on board with Jake Cos. He managed to find a little bit of a gap but wasn't able to make the move on this occasion. They'll keep using the toe, but as it stands so far, a quick switch potentially. Going to go down this inside line. You can't go there, sir, and straight into the side. I told you that Jake Cos will very happily swallow up any positions if he sees a gap, and on that occasion, going side by side, it was opportunistic at best against Misford. They've only just lost time as a result to Michael Misford McMullen.
Wow, that was a very, very difficult battle there, but very much just surviving, but only by very little. He's now got his handful of the Red Bull when he probably wants to be passing his teammate here, Misford. So, going to try and continue to rotate around the circuit, try and find whatever advantage you can get, and maybe claim a 4th place. But you've got to hand it really to Michael McMullen. Despite not having the pace, I don't know if it's down to setup or car or potentially even circuit. He's still doing a fantastic job to hold on to a great place here of 4. That will get him 12 World Championship points as well. Andrea Borg's medium compound tyres are looking oh so strong. The first 18 laps went by like an absolute blast. We're slowly making our way towards lap 36 here. We're currently on lap 27, so less than 10 laps remaining. Andrea Borg is going to be on the push button. He's going to try and deploy that overtake at every single moment until he drains the battery. I think also with the non-ERS, that's going to really work into some of the tight sections, like that final little bit that you're going to be seeing in the middle sector. But Dave Potts is very much getting onto the back of his teammate once again, and it's going to be Williams at War 2.0.
Yeah, and if I were working with Williams here, I think they would be in communication to say, I really should just get past you here, Michael, because I am a bit faster than you at the moment. Will David Misford be saying that he'll try and get this move done as quickly as he possibly can. Either way, he's got Jake Cos behind him who's looking again. He just goes for dives where he thinks the gap's there, and that occasion going through turn number one, the gap simply wasn't there, and they'll be very lucky that they've actually got away without damage. Matthew Cassar's just set the fastest lap of this race with a 14.422, but then look at Andrea Borg. He's managed to find so much more time in comparison. He only needs to find about half a second now on every single lap if he wants to try and win this race. He's finding a lot more than that, about a second, and I think he will be probably chasing down Matthew Cassar for the race victory. Probably now by around about lap 32, I want to say. Two Williams battling it out here, trying to get as close as he possibly can. Dave Misford against Michael Misford McMullen. May go for the move here. The gap is certainly opening up. The Williams finding the space. They go side by side between each other. Around the outside, though, and around the inside, he will have the traction out of the corner. Well, Michael Misford McMullen. The gap was certainly there, but the move certainly not going to be available on that particular corner, but it might be around the outside. This one, turn number 5. Around the outside, they'll go. The number 68 Williams under a lot of pressure around the inside here. That's Dave Misford will have. He'll have the advantage through this corner, and he'll have the advantage going into the next one if he gets the late breaker. And that move is very well taken from the Williams. Clean and tidy. Down the inside, though, they will go. Will Michael Misford McMullen, but the move's certainly not there. Here's also Jake Cos getting into the battle side by side with the Williams. You can't squeeze him onto the grass. That's not the cleanest way to do it, but he gets the move done. But there'll certainly be questions about how he's done it.
Yeah, there will be a bit of an investigation, I think, into that one, because that was not quite gentlemanly racing. Yes, we are in very powerful Formula 1 cars, but, you know, moves like that can be a little bit dangerous and touchy, especially going in towards the corner like that turn 3 backed corner. Now, Jake Cos will have an opportunity here at Samuel Misford. Will he go to the inside? No, he holds on. Just trying to find that gap, and there is the Alpine there. Oh, I think that's going to be Aaron Dimek in the, of course, in the blue and pink car, running down there in P12. It looks like the other Red Bulls also a lap down, so that won't play a part. It's just kind of almost like endurance racing, trying to manage the traffic for the moment. If Jake Cos can catch that Alpine in the right place, could see an opportunity to fly on by.
If it doesn't put any to perspective how many times he's been off of the circuit or forced people off circuit, just look how dirty that Red Bull